Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to those who have subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, do the right thing and subscribe. As you can see, I'm back with another video, and I'm sorry that I haven't been around, but that is the thing of the past. So now I'm going to just give you content as much as I can, but it's been really busy, guys. But I'm sorry that I haven't, posted as much, but I try to keep you updated with what I'm doing. Um, but yeah, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so this video was actually requested by someone in the comment section. If you don't already know, I actually taught in China just for a little bit. I wasn't there for long, but I learned a lot in that time that I was there. I was there for just 5 months, but I did find someone in China who would be able to share this information willingly, and her name is Tendo. And if you are interested in knowing who she is, just follow her on Instagram. This is her handle. I'm gonna leave it right here. So thank you so much, Tendo, for being willing to share your information. And I just want to set out a disclaimer before I get into the video that this is my experience in Taiwan and her experience in China. So please don't come for us and say, no, it's not like that, blah, 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 blah. We don't want to hear that. We're just sharing information from her perspective and from my perspective. If you want to criticize or whatever your goal is, this is not the place or the time. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so first things first. So I'm gonna first talk about Taiwan, where I'm teaching, and then talk about China, where she's teaching and where she's teaching, how much, and all those type of things. This is just a video, guys, to help you make a better decision whether you want to come to Taiwan or you want to come to China. Obviously, this does not cover everything, but this just gives you the basic of what to expect. Number one is, which school do you work for, or what is the type of school that you work for? Okay, first one for me is public school. I work for a public school. And then second one is, what are the requirements to be able to work as a foreign English teacher in Taiwan? So first, you need a degree. Okay, the degree should not be from UNISA or any part-time type of institution. Your degree should be a recognized degree by the Ministry of Education. Okay, in another video I'll probably name the universities that are recognized by the Ministry of Education in Taiwan. That video is coming up, so if you're interested in that video, make sure that you subscribe and you click that notification bell so you don't miss it. Okay, so the next thing you need is a PGCE or a BEd. Okay, and you must have a SACE, so a South African. You must be registered with the South African Council of Education. I think that's what SACE stands for. Hey, don't come for me, don't come for me. Okay, and then you also need experience, but not necessarily it's an advantage, because some counties in Taiwan, they don't really consider your previous experience, but some do. So if you have experience in teaching, even better for you. Okay, so it's going to help you in terms of your salary. And then if you don't have a degree from the Ministry of Education, or you don't have a PGCE, please note that there are schools like Bushibans. It's called a cram school where you can work at. So don't lose hope. Okay, you still have the opportunity to work in Taiwan. You just need to have like your degree and also your TEFL or TESOL certificate. But your degree should be authenticated at the Taiwan license office in South Africa, in Pretoria. Okay, the third question is, how much do you need to start your life in Taiwan? So for me personally, I would say you need at least 30,000 rand, or minimum 25,000 rand, because you're going to need money for the 2 months deposit rent, for the place that you're going to stay at, and also 1 month 1 month's rent. Okay, so it's gonna cost about, at least 10,000, 13,000 rands. So you need money to survive. For that, you need money for rent, you need money for transportation for that first month, and also for like hotel costs. If you have to sleep at a hotel the first night that you arrive in Taiwan, where someone is going to come fetch you and things like that, if you're lucky enough, you won't have to spend on that. Maybe they fetch you the same day. And also you need money for food to survive for that first month. I would say if you are married, you need at least 30K. But if you're single, maybe just 25, 20. I know people who came to Taiwan with, much less than that, but just try to, be prepared. Okay. The next question is, what is the starting salary? The starting salary in Taiwan is 62,000 NTD, if I'm not mistaken, 62,000 ish, around there. Obviously, it depends on your experience, also depends on what qualification you have. If you have higher qualifications like masters, then your salary would be much more than that. And it will also depend if you're teaching in a public school or private school. If you're teaching in a private school, you'll get much more, like maybe 68, to 75, around there. The next question is, how many kids do you typically have in a classroom? Okay, so I have about 10 kids in my classroom, and it's because my school is in the rural area. I'm sure that for people who, teach in cities and places like that, they have much more students. But for my school where I teach at currently, the students are not more than 10 per class, meaning grade 1 to grade 6. You will never find more than 10 kids per class. So this is how much students I've had to deal with, just not more than 10, but it's still a public school, which is great. Do you have a co-teacher, or do you have to teach classes by yourself? Obviously, this is an obvious case in Taiwan. You have to have a co-teacher in your class because the kids don't necessarily know English unless maybe you are in a bilingual school that they're trying to incorporate both Chinese and English. But even then, I think you'd still have a co-teacher. Usually you just have, one co-teacher if you're teaching in elementary, but if you're teaching in, junior high and senior high, you probably have more than one co-teacher. So definitely, yeah, you have co-teachers. What are the working hours in Taiwan? Okay, so the working hours for me personally is from 8 a.m. to 5. That's what the contract says, and you also have 1 hour break in those hours. So I think these hours can obviously vary depending on your school, depending on how far is your school, the transportation, the directors of your school will take that into consideration. But yeah, typically is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Next question is about the cost of living in Taiwan, and I must say, guys, the cost of living in Taiwan is really high. It's quite high. It's a lot because I find myself buying eggs for 100 rand, and they're not even 30 eggs. Okay, so it's a lot. The cost of living, I feel like it's quite high, but you're still able to afford it with your salary and still be able to save. So, and also I think for me, because I don't stay in a like in a city like Taipei or those big cities, but I still manage with the costs that that come with living in Taiwan. They're not as bad, but I just think compared to South Africa, the cost of living is quite high in Taiwan for sure. So yeah, what is it like being a foreigner in Taiwan? I think Taiwan is the most open country in terms of foreigners. They really welcome foreigners. They're very nice, very friendly people, especially where I stay. I just feel like people are quite nice. You'll find one or two people who are curious there and there, which is annoying, yes, but it's not as bad as it was for me in China. I think people here are much more open-minded and they know about other people from other countries. Even though they never thought they would meet the person, but they still know about it, like other parts of the world. They are aware, I think, about other parts of the world much more than I think people in China. So the people here, I think the only one thing that I've realized about living in Taiwan is that people won't sit next to you. And I've seen some people justifying that, saying, oh, they just don't feel comfortable sitting next to strangers. But it's just not nice anyway, nonetheless, it's just not nice. If people are not, they don't want to sit next to you because you don't understand why. But you just have to turn a blind eye to those kind of things and just move on with your life, really. I usually don't even create space where I'm sitting in the bus. I usually put my back on the other side and then I just sit on the other seat. So I'm not actually expecting anyone to come and sit next to me unless they wanted to. Then they can ask me, can you move? But otherwise, I just don't even allow that to happen. And in terms of being black in Taiwan, in terms of like the working experience, it's quite okay. It's quite nice. They don't treat you differently. You don't, feel like differently. And this is like, again, from my experience, I haven't felt any kind of racism or anything like that. So it's quite chilled, really. It's really, really quite chilled. So that's my comments on being black in Taiwan. You will have those people who are curious, who just like, want to take pictures of you. They think you are like you know, like an artwork that they want to admire and take pictures of and things like that. But you're not. At the end of the day, you're human. So yeah. But in general, it's quite nice to live in Taiwan as a black person. The last question is, any advice for someone who wants to teach in Taiwan? I would say, honestly, it's a great place to come teach at. You feel at peace. If you're someone religious, you have a freedom to believe in your religion, to go to church. They're not opposed to Christians. They're not opposed to people who are part of the LGBTQ community. So Taiwan is quite open-minded, and also you have like easy access to social media, unlike in China where you have to have like VPNs and things like that. So yeah, I think the advice I would give is just come here, be open-minded, also be willing to try new things, new foods, learn the language, and just be accepting to some situations, but always create boundaries. Always create boundaries. Don't let people walk all over your head, because at the end of the day, you are human. You are not a toy to be played with. Okay, that is my advice for anyone who wants to come to Taiwan. Just get your things ready and yeah, take that opportunity. We see, guys, like, life is short. If you want to do something, just do it. Don't wait, because we don't know really um, when is the end for us. Okay, that is me with Taiwan. Now I'm going to move to China and everything you need to know about China to help you make a better choice between the two Asian countries. So first question is, where do you teach currently? So she teaches in a kindergarten that is privately owned. Number two, it's about requirements, and in order for you to teach in China, specifically teaching in a kindergarten, you need 2 years experience, and you have to have taught in a kindergarten before. But there are some cities that don't need experience. You also need a degree and a TEFL certificate to teach in China. The next part is about how much money do you need to start your life in China. So for her, she arrived in China in 2019, and she had her accommodation paid. All she needed to do was to buy some supplies for her flat, and she only needed 1000 RMB to do that. So please guys, do the conversion to know how much that is. And medical and work visa was covered by the school. And if you don't have money, she said that, loan can be given to you by the school, depending, how you negotiate with them and things like that. Okay. What is the starting salary in China? So the starting salary in China is 20,000 RMB plus some housing allowance. Obviously, they did say during COVID, things were a little bit different in China, that, people would get offered a whole lot of money, like, 35,000 and things like that, which is a lot of money in South African rands. But nowadays, China has opened borders and things are, different now. They offer people like, 20,000 or sometimes even less. But you should, use your negotiation skills and talk about your experience and things like that. But I know that she said the highest amount that nowadays people are being offered is 18,000 RMB, even if you have the experience. So keep that in mind, okay, when you are planning to go to China. In terms of how many students do you typically have in a kindergarten that is privately owned in China, she said from 10 to 23. That is like, obviously kindergartens, they have limits. They cannot accept a certain number of students, or they cannot accept more than a certain number of students in a kindergarten. About co-teachers in China, if you're working in a kindergarten, you will have the main teacher, which is the Chinese teacher. You'll have the ESL teacher, which is probably you, the English teacher, and then the third person is more like, what did she call them? IE. So IE, someone who, she called them an IE, someone who's there to help with the students, cleaning and things, more like an auntie vibes, the lady who will help in the classroom if it gets dirty or anything really that's needed to help with the children. So yeah. The working hours are from 8 a.m. to 4:30. Obviously, you have about 3 hour break, which I think it's amazing. 3 hour break. In China, you have a 3 hour break. Guys, hey, it's nice. So, yes. And then the next one is the cost of living in China. Depends on the city that you are living at. I was living in Beijing when I was in China, and I still managed to save a lot of money. But at the time, I was not really traveling or anything like that. But if you are planning on going to China, keep that in mind, that this type of city that you go to, if it's a first tier city or second tier, you know what are the kind of like costs that you'll be dealing with. Will you be able to spend much? And also depends on your lifestyle. If you're someone who likes to travel, have brunch for the gram, those type of things, obviously if you stay in the city, life will be much more, a little bit expensive compared to if you stay in the rural areas. Okay. And just on that note, I would advise guys, like, if you're not a rural type of person, if you're coming to the Asian countries for the first time, but you're not a rural type of person, just go for the rural place at first, just to ease into the country and see how you navigate through that life, how you like that life. Don't just start with something that would be like a bit crazy for you, especially when it's your first time. Even if you like the city life, just ease yourself into the country, so that you don't have like really bad experiences. This is just my 2 cents, but this would be my advice for you guys. Okay, the next question was, can you comment on being black in China? She did talk about that, if you're black in China, especially if you stay in the rural areas, you'll be the center of attention. People want to smell your skin, take pictures, stares. It's much more, hectic in terms of that. But mostly it's about, people being curious and things like that. But she did say that China is a racist country, and I totally agree with her. It's not as open as Taiwan, so you should keep that in mind. um, this is another reason why I say if you want to go teach in China, especially, just try to go to places that are not like the big cities. Go to the rural areas, because she said, like, if you're in a rural area, they don't have any other choice but to love you, but to help you with whatever that you need and to accept. But if you go to the big cities, like I did when I went to China, I just had a horrible experience. You have other foreigners. They compare you to the other foreigners, and then they mistreat you, and then you feel the racism. Okay, so just make the right choice for yourself. At the end of the day, what do you think is best for you? Okay, so but you need to be aware that if you're black in China, if you're in the rural area, you won't have as many foreigners, but maybe it might be a little bit lonely. But if you're in the city, you have more foreigners, but you also have more chances of being compared to other people. If that's what you don't mind happening to you, then great. That's what I said. Make the right choice for yourself. Okay. Um, and having said that, China is a racist country. Please know that not everyone in China is racist. Okay, some people, are nice. Some people are good people, like every other country. Okay, we have those kind of people. Last but not least, advice. For someone who is interested in going to China and to teach there, she did say, the advice that she would give is to say, come to China, experience the life. Everything is different in China. The things that are done there, are different. The life is different. You're going to learn a lot. Chinese people value their culture. It in turn also helped her to value her culture and embrace it. So you're gonna learn a lot of principle. Just go out there and live. This is what I said also with my advice, that if you have an opportunity to go somewhere, just take it, because you don't know. Life is unpredictable, guys. You just have to take that leap of faith and trust that things are gonna work out for you, and believe, even though you're anxious, and you're just scared about, what if. I'm kind of like that person too, but you still need to take the risk, because if you don't take the risk, you will never know, you know, what it would have been like. Okay, so always take the risk. So, having said that, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for those who have tuned in up until this point. And I'm really grateful that you guys have taken the time to watch this video, and also watch all of the videos that I post on my channel. I really appreciate those loyal subscribers, okay, those who really watch my videos, and they don't just subscribe, but they actually watch my videos, because that helps me, guys. Helps my channel to grow. It helps me to see that I'm making a difference. But if you guys don't like the videos, you don't watch the videos, it's kind of like I'm doing this, but I don't know who am I doing it for. So just please share this video with someone who you think would be interested, to just make the comparison. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.